You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor. Subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments below. Be sure to smash that like button. Most fans, I understand, are recruiting followers 2 days a year. The early signing period and the traditional February signing period. Unless if there is some type of significant news that involves a major prospect, like when Arch Manning, for example, committed to Texas. Most people paid attention to that. On Saturday, when five-star Shelton Sampson makes his announcement, most people are going to pay attention to that. When it's quarterback news, it's generally going to be bigger news, such as the news that came on Monday night when Rickie Collins, the quarterback from Woodlawn, the four-star in Baton Rouge, decommitted from Purdue. Rickie Collins made the post on his social media. He has been committed to Purdue for many months now. I thank Purdue for believing in him, but ultimately decided to decommit. Now, this is obviously getting a lot of attention from LSU circles because on Friday, Rickie Collins was visiting LSU. So the Baton Rouge kid from Woodlawn who had been committed to Purdue visits LSU on Friday. He's got the offer, and then a couple of days later, he decommits from Purdue. Everyone starts, all the LSU players start using the hashtag Rickie Reconsidered. You understand seemingly where this is going. By the way, Sam Spiegelman back in July, this was actually at the end of July, so just a little more than a week ago, this was on Fox 8, kind of was asked if LSU could flip Rickie Collins.
The LSU has certainly been putting on a little bit of pressure this summer. They've gotten him on campus in June. They've been turning up the heat with him and his family as Woodlawn gets back to practice for the senior season. He is a top guy left on their board. A lot of their other quarterbacks have either committed elsewhere or, they've kind of opened the door for them to kind of isolate on Rickie, and it's a great player to isolate on. They have their work cut out for them, but if it's going to become a two-team race between Purdue and LSU, and he's got his full senior season ahead of him, I think LSU would like to, again, have something done earlier rather than later, and they're turning up the heat, but they have their work cut out for them.
So you heard Sam say it there. LSU took their shot. They took their shot at a couple of elite national targets in Jaden Rashada, Dante Moore, and they missed. Happens. Those guys just picked other places. Okay. And there were a couple of prospects from Louisiana that never really had LSU in the running. Arch Manning picked Texas. Eli Holstein was committed to A&M. Now he flipped to Alabama. So you look at kind of what's next, and Rickie Collins may feel to some like he's a consolation prize. But I'm telling you, that kid has it. Like, whatever it is, that thing that you look at in a leader and a quarterback, that kid's got it. I'm not going to, I have never been, nor have I ever purported to be a scout, a talent evaluator, analyst, anything like that, okay? I'm not watching huddle highlights. I'm not breaking down 40 times and drop steps and all that stuff. That's not what I do. I never have and I never will. There's people who do that plenty good enough. I did call high school football games for a decade. I saw a crapload, technical term, of high school football players, and sometimes you can just tell. Sometimes you can just tell, oh, that guy's different. I get it. Okay, so it's like they're all playing at the same speed, and there's that guy. Rickie Collins was that guy. Saw him play last year against Catholic. Keep in mind that's a team that won the state championship in Division I, lost one game all year. It was to Woodlawn. 3 times Catholic had the lead in the game. 3 times Rickie Collins led them to tie the game, and then ultimately scored the game-winning touchdown with 2 minutes to go in the ball game to beat what would be the state champion and hand them their only loss in the year. In that game, by the way, I went back and looked it up. He was 14 of 20 passing for 198 and a score, and he ran 15 times for 46 yards and a touchdown. He's awesome. That guy can absolutely play in the SEC and be a guy in the SEC. And I want to point out that sometimes, especially at quarterback, we get so hyper-focused on the creme de la creme. And yes, you can look at quarterbacks that have won national championships recently. If it were Bryce Young, or, obviously Stetson Bennett won the national championship a year ago, but Bryce Young won the Heisman, Trevor Lawrence, Deshaun Watson, Jameis Winston. Just in this playoff era, or Jameis back in 2013, right before the playoff era, you can look at dudes that won the national championship that were top quarterback prospects. Absolutely. I could also point out Mac Jones, who was the 18th best pro-style quarterback in the country and is ranked number 399 nationally, just inside of the top 400. Go back to Cardale Jones in 2014. He was the 10th best pro-style quarterback. He was ranked number 398 nationally. So understand, Cardale Jones was 398. Mac Jones was 399 nationally. Joe Burrow was the 8th best dual-threat quarterback. That's when they started splitting them, dual-threat and pro-style. He was number 280 nationally. The 280th best player nationally. Go back to Matt Flynn. He was the 12th best quarterback. They didn't split him pro-style and dual-threat at that point. But Matt Flynn was ranked number 159 nationally. Of all the ones I just mentioned, Matt Flynn was the highest ranked coming out of high school. My point is, sometimes you don't have to have the dude that's the number one quarterback in the country to compete for a national title and to have dudes that end up being great. Matt Flynn played a long time in the NFL. Joe Burrow is a dude. Mac Jones was a starter as a rookie in the NFL. None of those guys were top quarterback prospects in the country. None of those guys are 5 stars. And yeah, you got Bryce Young, and you got Trevor Lawrence, and you got Deshaun Watson, and you got guys that are 5 stars that go on and do amazing things. But it's not a prerequisite. As Stetson Bennett just showed, as Joe Burrow showed, as Matt Flynn showed, Mac Jones showed, Jacob Coker. I mean, it's doable. And that intangible thing, Rickie Collins has it. And when you match that intangible thing with a 6'3", 190-pound frame and an arm that you could sling it around, went to the Elite 11 and showed out a little bit this summer, and that's before he even played his senior year. Yeah. Like, if LSU flips Rickie Collins, I'm excited. I am legitimately excited. I would have been pumped if they had gotten Rashada or Moore, one of these 5-star big national guys. Of course I would have. But if they flip this guy from Purdue, I'm telling you, kid can play. And when you're putting on for your state, it's a big deal. And you're stockpiling Walker Howard and then Rickie Collins. And you could start to see behind Nussmeier and the guys that are there now that quarterback room getting really deep and really talented with really good options. So Rickie Collins is decommitted from Purdue. LSU apparently has him in the crosshairs. We'll see if ultimately he's able to pull the trigger. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.